and a roof over your head, it does make a difference.
My name's Tyler Moss. I just got into realty. I've been there about a month and a half. Just got my license. I was a welder before I came here. Got 4 kids. They range from 5 to 10. 2 boys, 2 girls.
Man, that was fast.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
Welcome again.
Thank you.
So so everyone knows too, we're kind of incorporating the Ignite series and MREA and productivity just so that we're not just teaching you to death. So everyone's always welcome, at the productivity class, but we're going to probably pause that a little bit more as we go through this series. And everyone knows Shalaya and Alice. Just so you know, Shalaya is invaluable. You are too, Alice. But
I was gonna say,
yeah.
that was a horrible introduction. Shalaya's invaluable. Well.
And you cut out.
And then we have Alice. We have Alice too. So because I still have to harass her on a regular basis myself. So don't ever feel bad about asking her over and over and over again, because everything that she knows with the command, these systems are amazing, but they are a little bit challenging, especially when you're a little bit older like I am. I just feel like, you learn it and then you forget how to do it. And then you call her back up and you learn it and then you forget how. I guess if we're doing it the way we're supposed to be doing, we wouldn't forget how so quickly. But she is. Oh, here we have somebody new. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? You missed it. Yeah, I know. When you miss everyone else, you're like, darn, what am I supposed to say? Just and how you got your license and what you did before, and if you have family or children, or
like 19.
Oh, so you're just like brand new. You're brand new, right?
Right now, I just work at the mall selling jewelry, but decided when my mom was looking for her house that I like the process of it.
That is awesome. That is, hey, when you start young, that's great. We have you're almost the youngest one, and as far as the MLS, but we do have a guy who was 18 when he started. I think Ian, he was 18. Yeah, and he's like doing great. So you have your new little sphere of the people that you knew, so eventually they're going to start buying houses. And you can also teach them that they can. And, a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah.
They really have no idea. They keep renting and renting, and they have no idea that it's not that hard to buy a house. So are we ready yet?
Mhm.
10 o'clock. Well, thank y'all for coming. I'm glad we got a chance to get to know each other. Y'all have your books here. So basically we're going to work on our database, and that you have to do this every day. And I'm going to say this many times in here. It's not something that you ever don't do. I've been doing this almost 20 years. This is my second career. I was in advertising for 15 years. I don't know how old I am. And, but it definitely is something that you always have to do. I do lead gen every single day, and everyone has a different way of doing it. But for instance, you'll sometimes have like a 5-minute window when you're waiting for a client or waiting for an appointment. I don't care if you're at the doctor. I don't care what you're doing. If you have a window, sorry. If you have a window of time, don't waste it on Facebook hanging out with your friends. That is the window of time that, I can literally have my daughter at the doctor's office and sitting there for 20 minutes, and I will have an appointment by the time I leave that doctor's appointment. So it's just that thing where you have to continue to do it. It doesn't have to be like 2 hours from 9 to 11, the reason they teach you that is because people are not consistent. But if you're consistent and you do it on your own, you will absolutely, and you're not always asking somebody to buy or sell a house. Sometimes you're just telling them what you're doing and just checking in, and just, with your friends or your family or somebody you go to church with, or you went to school with, and you're just checking in to see how they're doing. So it can be as simple as that. Once you get going in the business, what I do, whenever I am sitting there stagnant, I always reach out to past clients just to check on them and see how they are. Your goal is, once you've been in the business for 3 to 6 years, is that everyone that you sell houses to, probably 80% is gonna be repeat business. So you're not having to recreate the wheel. But if you don't reach out to them and keep in touch with them, they're not gonna remember who you are. I mean, we all think we're great, we did a great job, but if you don't stay in touch, they're not going to remember you, and then they're gonna meet somebody else, and then they'll end up buying through them. A good example is, I got a phone call last night from a past client, but every couple months, I just like, hey, how's the baby doing? I just reach out and just say a little something to them. And they were like, yeah, we're getting ready to build a house. We need to sell both of our houses because their mom has one. And they were like, our builder kept saying, my wife's a realtor, use her. And they're like, nope, we're using this one. We want to use you. And so, because if I had never reached back out to them, they might have been like, well, Teresa doesn't care. So that's the easy part, by the way. And, lead gen is because you're talking to people that already like you. You're not cold. It's not like you're out there searching for business. So just remember that through your career. The better you treat them, the more likely they are to use you again. So we're going to talk a little bit about what successful agents do every single day. You grow your business and you run your business. And if anyone ever has questions after the class, I just want you to know, if you have a question, ask it, because your question is probably going to be the same question. Hello. The same question as what Tyler might have and what you might have. They might be the same question. So don't feel like it's a stupid question. So to grow your business, you're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers. I want to emphasize on that. Sometimes, they always say go after listings. But if you get buyers, most of my listings have come from my buyers, because most buyers have a house to sell. So don't forget to ask that question when you meet with them. Do you have a house to sell? If anyone does end up getting something for the first time and they want me or Alice or someone to go with them, we will go with you to help you with your first time. Because sometimes it's a little bit, it kind of freaks you out a little bit when you're like, oh crap, now I've got an appointment, what do I do now? So just remember to reach out. Make seller listing presentations and get listings. Every day you want to go ahead and do the listing presentations. We'll learn a little bit about that too with RPR and how to go out and look at homes. If y'all join me in my productivity class, we'll do a lot more hands-on in there, where we kind of go to houses and pretend like we're going to list a house, or pretend like we're trying to measure a house or showing a house and that kind of thing. So then you want to make buyer presentations and get listings. Keller Williams does have all these documents. They have them where you can customize them for yourself, Shalaya. And but all you do is plug your name in and your information. So just know that information is there. So you print it out, you bind it, you look so professional when you do that. And then previewing real estate. Everyone who is newly licensed really and truly should be previewing at least 5 listings a day. You're not doing anything. So if you don't have 8 hours of your day filled up on your calendar, get out there and start looking at listings. Because the more you look at them, the more when you run into somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, I just found the cutest house that I think you would like. It's great because you might have friends, their kids are getting older. Hello. So you just want to make sure that you're out there, because activity breeds activity. And not only that, do you know sometimes when you're out showing or doing a preview of a home, how many times somebody will drive up to that house and ask to be let in? It happens all the time. Just happened to my son. He's an agent. Happened to him, yesterday. So if you're out there doing something, something might happen. If they do, you need to ask them, are you working with a realtor, and have you signed an exclusive, real estate agreement? And I have even let people in that did have a realtor, and I just call the realtor. I'm like, hey, your people are here. Do you want me to just let them through this house real quickly? It's just kind of a nice thing to do. You don't get paid for it, but it's just something that, you just help your fellow realtor while you're there. Run your business, market seller listings. You have the access to market listings that are not yours, especially when you're new and you don't have any. Again, it's Shalaya. Everything's by Shalaya. So it's in command, and there's a button that you can go and you can just pick and choose what listings you want to market. You can market on your Facebook or social media or to your friends. And social media is huge. It is really, really huge. There are agents that all they do is market on Facebook,
You can add future listings to your website as well.
future listings.
You can have up to 12 listings on your website.
Oh, nice, nice. And you do get a free website with Keller Williams, so it's part of your $25 technology fee every month. Instead of going out and paying $10,000 for a website, you do get one. And, so these are the kind of things, that you can do. Always ask the agent, if they're my listings, you can share them all day long with your information. I mean, I love for people to share. If it's Tina Fryer, she's my business partner, you can share hers. Most people don't care, but just as a courtesy, just ask them, if they mind. So, as far as running your business, you're going to be showing buyers' houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, which would be like title companies and insurance, and there's just different vendors that you're responsible to make sure their utilities are transferred. Just so you know, when you get your first one, don't freak out. We're all here to walk you through those steps, because it is something that, you'll forget. You'll forget to set up their home inspection or something like that because you don't know. And we can do a punch list of items that you'll need to do. You don't always have to do all items, but it's better to have the whole list in a punch list. And setting your goals. Everyone needs a goal. When I first started in the business, the company I was with was an independent company. They didn't even know what a goal was. So I was never taught what a goal was. And it wasn't until I was with Keller Williams, and I will tell you, it wasn't at the very beginning with Keller Williams either, because I was like, what's a goal? Like, I've been doing great all these years. I'm like a successful agent. I don't need goals. Well, once I got out of my way and started doing what they said, I really have seen that my goals that I set, for myself are starting to come true. And, but if you don't have any, they won't happen. And it's not all about money. I mean, sometimes it's about your future retirement, your kids, what you want to do with your mom one day. It can be more personal and not always about the money. Compliance and risk management, that's part of running your business. And attend training and get coaching and managing your money. Always lead with revenue. Don't go out and buy a ton of leads until you are leading with revenue, because that can get you in trouble. Just on a side note, you also are going to need to always set aside 30% of what you make, because you do not want to owe the IRS. This is an independent contract. They do not take out taxes. Every realtor that has been in this business a long time, I promise you, most of them have learned that the hard way, where you're like, oh crap, I spent it all, and now Uncle Sam is here. So, what we'll focus on today is lead generate for buyers and sellers. And I gotta learn how to use your computer. The big picture, we're gonna learn about the lead generation model. And some of this stuff we're not gonna do because a lot of people have already done their homework, but they're kind of like where we would break out and actually go do the things. So I need to trust you that you're gonna go do it. If you get frozen, and I'm telling you, people get frozen, you are not the only person to go home and say, holy crap, I'm scared to pick up the phone, okay? I don't care if you're 80, 50, 30, or 19. Everyone gets to that point where you're like, you just kind of have one of those funky days. It's not just you, it's something just to pick up the phone and be like, hey, what do I need to do to get over this? So understanding the lead generation model, can you all see this? Is everything okay? Provides a larger vision of interconnected tasks and habits and how they help fund your big why. I would like for everyone as their homework to go home and set up a goal of what the reason you're doing this, and also what your big why is and why are you doing these things. Your big why is going to surprise you, but everyone has one. We just don't ever slow down enough to think about it. And mine was basically to work less, and because I have a work addiction, and mine was to work less and spend more time with my family, and now I have my grandson and my mother who is aging, and to spend more time with those that I love, and Trey and kids, you too. So we're gonna kind of learn about prospect and marketing, how it goes into the funnel, and then you go to the leads tracking and the contacts. And then as you do that, you cultivate them and you work them. And then you'll go in and you'll get the appointment and the active listing or active buyer under contract to close. This is exactly how it works. If you skip any of these steps, you are never going to get to the closing, especially if you miss 1, 2, and 3. So if 1, 2, or 3 do not happen, and really 4, you are never going to be able to sell real estate, and it's just not going to happen. It doesn't just fly off the shelves to you. That being said, because we are in a world where people aren't always, they're just not real responsive. You know, I mean, have you ever gone to the store and you see somebody standing there and they won't wait on you? And you're like, hello, like I'm over here. The good news for you is that is part of our society. Don't be that person. If someone reaches out to you, don't wait till the next day to respond to them. And if you can respond then, don't wait the next hour either. Because people love immediate gratification, and that is your job as a service person to them, is to respond. And the sooner you respond, the more likely they are not to go to somebody else and ask the question. I'll give you a good example. Again, this is my son. He had a woman reach out and he set the appointment for 4:30. And when he got there, she had called somebody else and she had gotten there at 4 o'clock. Like, it was rude and disrespectful, but the whole point was he shouldn't have just jumped and run and show her the house, but that's like a really rough, example. People like immediate gratification. It's just part of the world that we live in. It's different than it used to be. Hello. Has everyone met TJ? TJ is our mortgage lender, and he is here. If anyone has any questions on lending or anything else, his office is right around the corner.
Yep.
So,
Happy to help.
yep, he's awesome. He gets the job done. And not only that, he's not somewhere else in cyberspace where you can't find him. He can't
Nowhere to
hide
track
from
me
you.
down.
Yeah, he can never hide. Not only that, his wife works here too. So you can have double them. Like,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
never can escape you. And you'll find in this business that lenders do. One of our agents just lost a $2.3 million deal right before closing because the guy had a lender nobody had ever heard of. We have no idea what happened. She could not get him to move over. No matter what she did, he would not move over. And it got really ugly toward the end. So, we can't force our people, but we can recommend. We can recommend it.
Makes a big difference to have good lenders.
It really does. It really does.
Heard a lot of horror stories. So.
Is your cards out front?
Yes, they are. And I'll bring some by. I've got a client in here, but I'll bring some by in just a
Okay.
couple minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move through this a little bit because we've got 2 sessions that we have to do. Alice will be in here. Teresa, talking too much. So this is basically this is all about lead generation. Then we're going to go to the next one. But if y'all have any questions, I want you to stop me because we have the lead generation, the sales pipeline, the daily success habits, and it keeps going. I just don't like to go so fast that everyone is stuck on the first question and I'm over here on number 50. Maybe I'm a slow learner. I don't know. But I know when I do things and they go so fast, I don't get it. I want to start in the beginning with lead generation. Where do you get leads? We're going to go through that too, but I'm going to kind of let you know the first thing that you need to do is everyone has leads in their phone. Question, do you know how many contacts you have in your cell phone?
That's about 3,000.
Okay,
Like 500.
okay. Keep on getting those people in there. You're actually smart. How many do you have?
Just over 100.
Yeah, so here's a good example, is go into your phone. It's gonna be harder for you. Yours is like mine's loaded up. You wanna go in there and you want to clean them up. Cleaning them up means first and last name, email address, and physical address where they live. Well, and phone number, obviously, but clean them up because Scott Leroy is a company, a person that we pay on a monthly fee for you guys to utilize. He will, and again, Shalia's gonna show you how. It's all about her. He is going to put all your contacts into command. He will roll everyone in your phone. And if your phone and computer are different, he can roll those people in there too. If you have, like you have, I hate to think how many people you have in yours, and
Not that many.
Not that many.
Cleaned out.
yeah, But
Yeah, like
police
400 or something.
officers, the police, you know what I mean? But they say if you have 500 people in there, like that's your core where you start. But yours are all professional people probably, and police officers and people, you know, I doubt they're the ones you put in jail, but.
I've actually got a few of them.
Do you, have you cleaned yourself up? You ready to buy your first house?
I was the officer that, once it's over, and you
Yeah.
start clean again.
Yep, clean slate.
Yeah, I had some of that, when they got in trouble, they called me and say, Posey, when are you working? I know I got a warrant, come pick me
Oh,
up.
God, but that's good, that's good.
Because they knew I was gonna treat them the
But that,
same, no matter if they were,
but that
murder
speaks
or,
volumes.
you know, a
Mhm. But
business person.
that speaks volumes, because it shows that you're gonna have that customer service, you know, where you care. And that's another thing too. If you are working to get that paycheck, they will know it. You need to work from your heart, and that your whole goal is to find them the perfect home for their family. If it takes 3 days or it takes 3 years, it is your responsibility to nurture them. I mean, the longest one that I had 2 that were 5 years. And one lived in California, one lived here. I mean, I just can't tell you how many times we talked. Sometimes we looked at houses, but a lot of it was just keeping that connection with them. The California ones would come twice a year and we'd look at houses, but they eventually bought a $700,000 house. So, you know, what you want to do is just remember it's not always immediate gratification for us, you know, and the more you nurture them, but you also will get them sending people to you as well, you know. And I had one little couple and they had this $70,000 townhouse and they're like, Teresa, you know, we've seen your stuff, you know, would you take this? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. And so then they gave me another $70,000 townhouse. Well, then they gave me a $550,000 house that was theirs. This is all this year as far as the bigger ones. And then they sent me to one of their friends that was a $550,000 house. So just over that one $70,000 deal that I did 4 years ago, where it started, I just treated them like they were a big client. You know, I always treated them with respect, and I was there quickly. So a lot of it is I never knew what was at the other end. I just cared about them. So that's just something I want to remind you that, you know, when they see that hungry look in your eye. Have you ever been to especially women, like a boutique, you know, and they're hovering around you and like, you know, in your space and you feel like they're just trying to get a commission? It makes you uncomfortable. So don't be that person. So we're going to talk a little bit about the life of an agent in the business. It should never stop. It's purposeful and intentional, and it moves you closer to your goal and is part of your larger strategy. I feel like the one thing that some agents get their license, and because nobody is telling them to go to work, like you work at the mall, you know when you have to be there and when you get to leave. With real estate, you are your own boss. If you do not manage yourself, you will not make it. I'm just telling you, you have to learn to self-manage, which means you get up out of bed at the normal time you went to your other job and you start, you know, you can have your coffee. What the beauty of it is you can actually sit there and have a cup of coffee. You can have your kids around you. I had young kids when I started out. I actually adopted a little girl that I wasn't expecting to get at 8 months old. So it was like, oh crap, what do I do with her now? You know, I wasn't expecting this later in life. But she would sit there, you know, sucking her thumb, watching Teletubbies or whatever was at the time, and I would be lead generating, you know, and she would be right there. Sometimes she'd bring me a bag of bread because she was hungry, but I was like, oops, I forgot that part. You have to feed them too. But the thing is you're there. Like you can physically be there with your children. A lot of people, if they have little ones, they take them with them a lot to show houses. Like if this is a smaller town, you're able to do things that you couldn't do. They're always welcome in our office. I just want y'all to know that. If you have a baby, we have a baby changing table in the men's room and the women's room. And it is very family oriented here. We get a lot of children at our sales meetings during the summer because they're out of school. So don't feel like you can't bring them because we're a family business. But you do have to get up every single day and do your job. And if you do, I promise you, I absolutely promise you that you will sell real estate and you will be successful in this business. And if you don't, you will not. So is this the video?
No.
No? Okay. It says there's a video that should be played this time.
Right now?
Yeah. This is a video that should be played at this time. It's located on Connect as a separate link. It's called Build Your Day.
Oh, that one's actually on the website.
I think it's a good one though, because it's about generation. I personally feel like lead generation is the most important class you'll ever take. Yes, you need to know how to write a contract. If you'll ever write a contract, it really doesn't matter how many times you learn how to do it.
And
And then,
share something too, while we're waiting on the video to come up as far as lead generation, not having leads. When you first get your licenses, go through your phone and look at your sphere of influence. Your family members, your doctor, your dentist, your car mechanic, your hairdresser, all of those people are potential clients for you. Call them up, let them know you've changed industries, selling real estate now. Do you know anybody looking to buy and sell? You know, those are the people you can start out with to kind of get your feet in the business, knowing that this is what I'm doing now. And you'd be surprised at what might come out of that, you know?
I tell you, and especially with those who are younger, who are not used to, haven't been in a professional field, if you call them and even ask them, say, I'm practicing, you know, do you mind if I practice my script on you on selling real estate, and tell them what you're doing? Sometimes it's an easier way to do it than if you just call them and say it that way. And then they're going to respect you for doing it. And then they might be like, oh, well, actually, I do know somebody who's doing it. Because sometimes it is daunting. When you first did it, you were like, we take this class called Bold, and Bold makes you call, was it 100 people a day or something? It's something grueling that you have to do to graduate. And everyone's like, but everyone goes out and does it and they feel like idiots.
Well,
Like
they
you
force you to do it, but it does work, believe it or not. And that's my biggest probably weakness right there is lead gen. But, you know, get yourself in a good mood, call somebody that uplifts you, or listen to a good song before you do it. And I think once you get in the swing of it, start calling people, it does make it easier, but the start's kind of hard, but.
It really is hard. So, and we're gonna learn a little bit more about that, but she's right. That was one thing that you did not like to do. And she was like, she did get the Bold 100, and I think it's 20 people a day, but then you can get the Bold 100, which means you did 100.
I can get on here. It just won't be up there, but they can hear it.
Okay. Sorry, you guys, wherever you are in Zoom land. You're gonna have to
Lead generation is the first thing you should do.
Make those calls.
I took what I already knew and how I would go and shop for a house and just applied it to them.
It's a numbers game, you know. If you can track how many people you're calling in a day and how many hours you're doing it, there's a formula.
Make those calls.
I used those things that I did innately to attract my clients.
I became a hyper-local expert in the military because I am a military spouse.
I'd like to play this because I think it'll help us.
So this one's on the actual KW Connect website.
Okay. How did they do that to us?
I don't know, it's right here though.
Oh, it is right there. That was easy. Hey. Here we go. Now we have it.
Lead generation.
Two key things that I did to generate the most success for me were social media and open houses, because I didn't have the database like everybody else did. So I had to find ways that I could get in front of people fast, and also something that would be maybe the buyer or seller would be ready and willing to buy now versus later. And I'm lead generating specifically in an area that is military friendly, military heavy. It really is in the follow-up. Be present in their lives, build a relationship. Don't just ask for business every single time you see them. Be present in their lives, build the relationship. The least effective marketing activities for me were cold calling. And that's just because my niche market, they're not gonna be already local, they're gonna be moving from other bases. Then I decided, well, if I'm gonna leverage cold calling, let's do it more purposeful, and let's do it only in my niche market where I know that there's military there. They're likely to buy or sell in 3 to 4 years. Mindset was a huge part of my success. One of the things I tell myself for an open house is one good lead every time. And so I start that action at least a week beforehand. I do a social media campaign. I follow up with all the likes and comments. And then I do a door knock around the open house. And then I follow up with anybody who is active at the open house. And usually that results in at least one buyer or seller leads, usually more.
So my first year, obviously, the minute I made the change, it's super scary. I've got a network of people still reaching out to me to, help them with what I was doing before, which was post-production. And I knew that my job in the beginning of the year, starting out, was changing people's mind from thinking if they met somebody who needed a commercial made, they thought of me. I knew my job was to change all the people who knew and trusted me when they heard somebody needed to buy a house or sell their house, they thought of me. If you're starting out and you don't have that network, be really intentional about where you spend your time. You go get gas.
Now, people are going to come in that have an agent, and you still are courteous to them and you show them the house. First of all, they may decide down the road they don't even like their agent. I've actually gotten people that were like, well, I started working with somebody and I didn't like them, and they called back. You don't ever step on their toes or cross that line. But if they call you, it's different than you calling them. And then the other thing is that people do randomly just come into them who are not represented. That is by far the easiest way, because you can get a client face to face easier than on the phone, because they kind of feel you and get to know you, and they can see the, who you are, the genuine, part of you. And that girl, what she was saying, why I do want y'all to listen to this, is she was saying, you have to be genuine and let them see who you are, and don't hold them back like that. If you're doing your job, they are going to tell you their story. They will tell you their life story. I'm not kidding. Like you'll get every bit of personal. Yeah, you will be the hairdresser. You're gonna get it really good if you already got it from the others. So, and remember to listen more than you speak. So if they're telling you their story, it's kind of funny. They don't mind a little bit of your life, but they really just love, you're the therapist and they love to talk. So they're more interested in what they're saying than what you have to say. Just listen. You will hear so much. Another thing is, during COVID, we couldn't do this and we got away from it, is when you show houses, it's easier not to put them in your car because you don't really want them in there. It gets old after 8 hours in one day having somebody in your car. Trust me, you're just exhausted. You're nervous because you're nervous driving. You're nervous, can you find your way there? You wouldn't believe the weirdness that comes in you when you have somebody scrutinize you in the car. But what I have found is that when they're in my car, we bond. And there are little things you can say and point out. A lot of people aren't from here, and you can be like, hey, have you ever been there? This is a great hairdresser. This is a great restaurant. So be that person and put them in your car as much as you don't. Now, sometimes they're going to have little children in car seats and they're not going to ride with you. Older people like to ride in the car. That is the old school real estate way. So clean out your car and plan on it. I remember when my kids were little, I'm like, God, they can trash up a car. Now now I'm like, dang, my car kind of stays pretty good. I don't have anybody stepping on school papers and dropping, candy in the back seat. But, just put them in your car, because it is a time that you're going to bond that you won't get back any other way, because looking at a house, you won't bond as quickly. So that is, but I would like for y'all to watch that, because I think it's going to be good for you, because it pretty much tells the story. So we're going to go to your database now. Your database, again, this is partly what Shalaya teaches. She's actually teaching me after the class, because I am still having trouble with some of my stuff. And again, because I had an assistant and then she left and she was doing it. So now I got to go reinvent the wheel. I don't know why she moved away, just decided not to hang out with me. One of them went to law school. I'm like, really? Like, why are you going to law school? But she still has her license with us. So here we go on, that you need to understand the purpose of having a database. And let me say again what a database is. It's people that maybe are in your phone or your computer, or people at church, or friends, or people you went to school with, teachers you had. anyone, they call it a sphere of influence. Anyone that is your sphere needs to go into your database. And if you join in productivity too, we try to pass out some leads, which I do have some for you in your neck of the woods. But you put them in the database, and what the beauty of it is, if you're doing it right, is you set it up, and some things it does without you, like if people have anniversaries of buying their houses, you can send them, happy anniversary at Christmas time or Easter or whatever, if you want to send stuff out. I like to, at the end of the year, to send everybody's CD out. And what a CD is when you go to the closing company and they give you the documents for your closing. Everyone needs them for their taxes that year. And personally, I've gotten to tax season before I was a real estate agent. And I'm like, crap, I have no idea where these things are. They got packed when I moved, because that's like the stressful time. You sign on your house and you move, it goes in a box, they can't find it. You again are going to be superhero because their CD is going to show up for them during tax time. I usually try to do it in December. So that is the important of the database. That is also where you go in and create flyers and postcards. That's all included in your $25 a month. And you can do your Facebook campaigns. That does have a small fee on it. But you can do Facebook campaigns across the country. So there are some volatile places in the United States right now that people are trying to leave, and a lot of it is California and the northern states. Because in California, some of the police officers have been defunded, so there's a lot of crime out there, and I get a lot of people coming here from there. I did hear they are now taxing them to leave. Now they're charging them to get out of the state to flee. But utilize that, because when you do a Facebook campaign and say you spend $20, you can target like Los Angeles. It's not just going to hit random people in Los Angeles. It's going to pick up the people like an algorithm that have been searching this area. Now, you're probably you might have 100 people, and you might be able to actually have 3 that are worth anything. It is worth your while to make those phone calls. But I also still put them in my database if it's a good email, because just because they're ignoring you now doesn't mean next month they're going to ignore you. It's why you need to keep sending this stuff out until they tell you to leave me alone. I probably get 2 people a month. They're like, oh my God, would you please remove me from your database? But I have 18,000 people on there. So, so it's, and sometimes they're like, I'm like, geez, don't be so rude about it. I'm like, you can unsubscribe, but they just do. They're like, one person's like, oh, I moved to North Carolina, I don't need you anymore. Guess what? She called me over the weekend. I couldn't find anything in North Carolina. I was moving there and I was wrong. So now I want to see a house, So, I mean, and she's writing a contract on it. It all happened like in first telling me to leave me alone, and then she came right back again. So just remember that, the database is important. They didn't have databases when I started. I had a box of leads. I had 5,000 leads in that box when I joined Keller and started Keller Williams, because they didn't have such a thing as a database. So I just had this big pile of stuff, and trust me, it was not fun putting them in. I can't find my mouse now. Here it is. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so with open house, if we wanted to do that for another agent who has a listing, how would we, for me, I don't have a big social media footprint.
Mm-hmm.
I just created social media because I'm starting real estate.
That's okay.
So how would I drive traffic to that open house?
So you don't have to have a large social media where you have friends in there. If that makes sense. When you do boost it, you'll boost it locally here, and you might have to pay $20 or something to do it. You can boost it. It'll say boost, on there.
I would do it as a campaign through command, so you get leads on it.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can, and I tell you,
because it's the same thing as boosting a post, and it's going to attract more people that way too.
Okay.
Shalaya again. Shalaya. I told y'all everything goes back to Shalaya.
We're going to go over that in onboarding tomorrow.
And then you're going to forget, and you're going to go back to Shalaya. So when you do that, another thing that people have been really successful doing is live video open houses. And I'm telling you, you'll feel stupid doing it. Oh my gosh, you've seen Trey and I, we couldn't get the camera turned around on us. We're like, here's the front road.
Maybe practice before you do it.
Oh yeah, practice before you do it. And it's live too.
It's
but
more
we-
authentic when it's live.
We have had the.
I keep mine just to laugh at myself.
Oh, our agents in here have done the funniest things you've ever seen. Like Scott Fogelman, he walked through a minute ago. He was out there one day, it looked like a fucking blizzard. I don't know, his hair, he was like flying everywhere. Like, I mean, it was so windy, stuff was rolling over. But you know what? You get more things that way because people think they're funny. It's almost like bloopers, you know, like people are gonna watch it, be more often to watch it. But get those out there. People love it because I would say, I don't know, probably 80% of my buyers have been from out of state or out of town. They don't live here. So if you get these things out there in front of them, they're more likely to reach out to you. And some people are more shy than others. Believe it or not, I don't like getting up there doing it. You know, I mean, it's just not my favorite thing to get up there and speak. Some people are better at it than others. But just make yourself do it. But it's actually a great way to get out there. And reach out to some of the agents. You know, if you see an agent has a lot of listings, just reach out and say, you know, do you need help with an open house? And we'll go through an open house class too. If y'all want an open house class, it may not be on this, but it's my favorite. It's an old Ignite session about how to do an open house. Because it teaches you how, when you're doing a neighborhood, that you door knock the whole neighborhood and invite them like an hour early or 30 minutes early or whatever to view their neighbor's house. Because everybody wants to know what that house is going to sell for and what does it look like compared to mine. And it is a great way, again, to get listings and buyers. And it's easy because you're just inviting them and they're in the neighborhood. It's not like that weird thing where you're, you know, bothering someone.
What time is productivity class again?
Productivity, it varies. And it only varies because I'm doing it and I have a lot of, I have like, you know, 15 to 20 hours a week of trainings and calls with international Keller Williams. So mine get a little bit skewed, but I will send it out when I'm going to do it to everyone.
Okay.
And that way, you know, you'll know. And through Ignite, so they kind of get a little bit, you know, I'm not doing it as often. I don't want y'all to be like, there's too many training classes, we're not going to any of them. But no, typically when there's a training class, it's going to be good. So this one has leads and contacts. You have their contact information once you've gotten it. You don't know a lead's motivation, but you can, you know, look at their motivation. The Thompsons down the street might be thinking of buying. This is like if you knocked on the door at an open house. You know, thinking of buyer, here are their names and numbers. Start off one way, offer-based communication that is geared toward getting a response and understanding their motivation. Once you get that information, people get a little bit weird at first. If you just go after them, like go for the juggler, and you're like, you know, I'm trying to list your house. It's more like an information gathering is what you're doing. And sometimes I'll act like I'm not trying to get it from them. I'm trying to find out who else might be interested. And then they kind of calm down and back up and they realize I'm not trying to sell them something. Nobody likes somebody to sell them something. But here's another one, meeting someone in line at the grocery store and finding out that you're neighbors or you went to the same college. That's another thing. It's like a two-way conversation. You know, how many times do we do talk in the grocery store? I'm one of those weirdos that always talks to somebody in the line. Get in the longest line. You know, if you're trying to get buyers, get in the longest line, put your tag on, be friendly to the cashier. These are the things you should do in life anyway. You know, you're gonna be nice to people anyway. Let your natural personality flow. You know, if somebody has 2 items, be like, oh my gosh, you know, go in front of me. These are the things that give you that conversation opener. And when you do that, that's when you start getting into that real two-way conversation. Sometimes it's not all about just walking up and saying, do you want to sell your house? It's just having a conversation. You know, neighborhood, geographic farms, social media, LinkedIn, sphere of influence, family, friends, neighbors, former coworkers, schoolmates, teammates. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like it's not that hard if you stopped and thought about it. A geographic farm, just so you know, that means you go to one area. You become the specialist. You are going to be it could be in your neighborhood. It could be in another neighborhood that you like. Start with a small one and become the specialist. They are not going to list their house with you that day. You are going to be the specialist though. You know, you might drop off pumpkins at Halloween with a little note on it that says something cute. Google it. There's really cute things. They're called like drop-bys or pop-bys. You know, at Christmas, you might leave a little ornament on their door. You might create like a little newsletter about stuff going on in the neighborhood. You'd be surprised. Eventually, they just think that that's who you are. They don't even realize that it's marketing. You know, so just do these little things, but get a small geographic area, and it might take 3 to 6 months for people to start recognizing you. So don't do it once and forget about it. You've got to keep going. And I always say that every 3 weeks is the best time, because like, you know, once they kind of get past it, you go out there and you drop off another little gift. But those are very easy things. We have what is her name? Like one of the most well-known people in Keller Williams. She just retired. When she started, and this is probably 30 years ago, she was really, really poor. She was a single mom and she couldn't afford daycare. So she used to take her kids out in a wagon and she would just go in her neighborhood and drop stuff off and do things like that. And there's like a really cute video of how she created her business just from her kids in the wagon. And she is like a multi-millionaire, by the way. Like, she is one of those people that really grew. So there's always a way to do it. Leads, 19 to connect. This just tells you how many times you need to touch somebody. This is a formula, guys. This is not me up here saying it. This is a proven formula. It's in the MREA book that Gary Keller wrote. It's the Millionaire Real Estate. And if you do this, I'm telling you, you will sell real estate. It's not that hard. 4 touches, quarterly phone call. You are to call people in your database every quarter for the year. 12 touches, a monthly email, newsletter, market report, video. Another thing is a market report. You can go in the MLS the minute a house sells. All right, I want you to keep an eye on it. Everybody pick another homework. Everybody pick a neighborhood. I want you to pick a neighborhood. You are to go in there. Start with the smaller ones. I'm telling you, it's easier. Pick a neighborhood, go in there, and I want you to find every house. The neighborhoods are easy because the subdivision, when you're searching on MLS, if you have trouble, let me know. It says neighborhood on there, the subdivision. I always just go into the subdivision and I'll click on that and it'll come up with everything that's been active, pending, and sold in the last 6 months. That right there is a great thing to drop off for people. You can mail it, you can drop it off, whatever you want to do. You can put it in a little bag. Alice has ordered a bunch of bags. I don't know where she went, but she has ordered some bags for us. Put that in there. Do you know when you printed off the MLS, you cannot drop, when you printed off the MLS, it's your picture on there. So once an agent has sold a house, that person that moved in that house is no longer their client. It is open game at that point. So you wouldn't believe how many agents, the people don't even know their name the next year because they don't follow up. You're the one that follows up. You're the one who's the welcome wagon. You come in and say, hey, is there anything you need? Do you have any? And you learn this, learn the restrictions in the neighborhood. You learn everything. You go to the county, you get this information, you have it, you're the knower of all, and you drop it off. Do you know how many people close on a house and they never got the restrictions? They have no clue. They don't know anything about it. But guess what? Their agent went, no, bye-bye, and now you're the new agent, and you're gonna go in there and you're gonna start nurturing them. And you leave your card in there. So there are things like that that you can do, you know, to connect with them. 2 touches, promotional direct mail, such as a magnet, calendar, market report. Again, that's the 2 touches twice a year that you do the direct mail. When you're starting out in business, sometimes some people have more money than others. Some people are like, well, I'm just starting out and I have to, you know, be frugal about this. That means you're gonna have to go in the neighborhood and get out there and pass it on. Contacts, 36 contacts to convert someone. Not one. Everybody's always like, I called them and nobody did anything. It's 36. 4 touches by telephone, 26 touches by biweekly email, offering some sort of information or value to the consumer. Hello. 2 touches, events, get-togethers, and parties. This is my weakness. I will just tell you, everyone has one.
She doesn't have any weakness.
Yeah. This is Dan Calloway.
I've been up against her too many
Yeah,
times.
no, it's not. Dan was our productivity coach for 2 years. Is it 2 years? And now he runs the ACRE team, so a really large team. And he is phenomenal in technology as well. And, you know, so the events and get-togethers, they're not that hard. I do have one coming up, and this might be something that y'all can invite people to on September, what is mine? September 2nd? What's my, do you remember what I'm talking about? So at the little food court up here, I am sponsoring movie night. If you guys want to invite some of your spheres to it, please bring them. We're gonna have a lot of marketing there. And then on, I think, October 2nd, Keller Williams themselves are doing the movie night.
Yours is September 4th. I think KW's is October 9th.
I just need to figure out what movies. But it's great because you can invite, you know, especially the October one's good for kids because it's getting closer to Halloween and they can even do an early dress up or something.
Yeah, September 4th, October 9th.
Okay, thank you. But these are great things to bring people to. You can create your own. You can always use any of our offices. You're closer to the Lake office. You can use that one, you know, or this one. We've got Amherst. We have so many different places. We have a Bedford office. But we can set up events, you know, if you want to. You can be, oh my gosh, like if somebody wanted to be a first-time home buyer specialist, you can create that for yourself. If you want to be a senior, I think first-time home buyers and last-time home buyers, I'm telling you, those are like the golden age if you want to specialize in something.
Do they have any 55 and older neighborhoods here?
We have Glenbrook, but what you'll find is a lot of them don't want to live in them. Like they like to
No, I'm
stay.
talking about like a neighborhood that's.
Yes, Glenbrook. Glenbrook is a great one. If
So
you,
they have their own separate houses.
yep, they have their own separate house. There are not very many around here, but Glenbrook is one. And it could be that place where you're like, I'm going to start targeting, you know,
I
this.
have someone looking and they would like to be in a 55 and older, but trying to find
Yeah.
anything here.
Well,
I'm like,
it's because it's very hard to create that because of all of the, you know, you have to, you know, like, because then you're like,
meet everything.
yeah, it's very hard to do it. So you do have your bi-weekly email offering some type of information of value to the consumer, events and get-togethers, and then promotional direct mail, such as a magnet calendar, market report. I'm telling you, the market report is phenomenal because everyone wants to know what's happening in their neighborhood. They don't give a crap about somebody else's neighborhood. They only care about their neighborhood. You need to be that person that sends them out. They can look at Zillow and they look at Realtor.com, but you want to get to them before that happens. You want to be that person. And it's crazy because all you have to do is print it out. It's got your picture on it. You know, you're the one. Don't forget you have the app. If you haven't set with Shalaya yet, she's going to set you up on the real estate app. I don't know where my phone is. It's somewhere back there. It is really cool because like you could be anywhere. You could be in Denver on vacation. And if you go into that app and there's a little arrow up there that you push on, and then it's going to bring it right where you're standing. And then every house that's for sale around you is going to show up. And all you do is click on it. But the difference is your client can do that. Your friends, another thing, send the app to everyone in your phone. All right, here's another homework. Send it to every single person in your phone. Make sure they know it's not a scam of some sort, but it's you. And say, this is my new real estate app. And then tell them how to do it. Because when they click on it, they see everything you see. There's no secrets. Like, you know, but guess what? Every time they go into it, your picture's in there and your contact information.
What app is this? The KW app?
Mm-hmm. It's the KW app. Send it to your database. Send it to all your people in your contacts.
And when they download it, if they sign up, they'll go into your command database as a lead.
Yeah, they automatically go in there. So
You don't even have to put it in, it's just.
It's really cool. And these people, and you know, just know that, you know, when you do this, they never forget you. I mean, anyone who uses it, we've all had calls. I don't even remember who they are. It's like, you know, 3 years ago or whatever. You're like, I don't remember this person. And to be honest with you, I don't remember the lady that called me yesterday that just thinks I walked over. I just can't remember who she is, except that I think she's the one that yelled at me and told me to take her off the thing. But, you know, when they have that and they can't remember, it really does work better than a lot of the social medias. The other thing too, if you get someone who is actively looking or just playing around, I don't care. If they come to your Facebook thing and they have a real email and they come to you on a $275 house, okay? It comes to you, they're not taking your phone calls, they're ignoring the heck out of you. And I want you to remember inside of your heart, how many times has somebody sent stuff to you and you were busy with your kids or whatever life and you didn't respond to them, but then they called you 10 times in a row and finally you're like, oh crap, I'm sorry, I've been busy, life happened, my mom was in the hospital. I mean, things happen. It's not personal. You learn that like the hard way is like, you feel like it's personal, your feelings are hurt, you're like, oh my gosh, these people don't like me. Life happens, you know? Put them in auto prospecting. We're going to learn that too, okay? And I want y'all to reach out to me and be like, hey, where's the auto prospecting class? Auto prospecting means you put them in the MLS and you might go like 20% of what they were looking at. So if it's 275, you might send them 225 to 325 or something like that. You set them up in the area they asked for and put it on immediate because we don't have much inventory right now. And they will get an email from you when a house goes on the market before Realtor.com or Zillow can send it to them. You be the first person to send them that email. After a while, they think you're their agent. Like, I can't tell you how many people, and you can see where they click it on too. Same thing, I'll show you the one in RVAR. You can literally see where they looked at it. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I probably sold maybe 5 houses this year off of it, where they're just like, hey, you've been sending me this. And sometimes you've been sending it for so many years, you don't even know who they are. But until they ask you to stop, just put that in there. That is really easy because you don't have to pick up the phone and call. And so let's go to the next one because I'm way behind. Another thing too, remember when you're in the grocery store or going to the doctor, whatever you're doing, wear your name tag. Everybody get a name tag. I don't have mine on. Trey's a good girl. She's got hers on. Because that is what's going to start conversations. And a lot of times people will ask you, oh, you're a real estate agent, because it clicks in their mind when they see you. So here we go. Manage your database, your contacts, your custom tags, your smart views, interaction, smart planes. I know y'all don't know what these are, and we're not going to go through exactly what they are today. That is what Shalaya is going to teach you. And that's what she's teaching me after this. Because these are things that you can do and set up in your database. And a lot of them, you set them and forget them. They just automatically go out without you. Other ones are going to be when a new house comes on the market and it's one of our listings and you're like, I want to send this out to my people. And you just click, 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 and it goes out and it has your information on it. They're already set up in there where they're legal too. So you're not going to get in trouble because there are some things you just can't do in real estate. So sometimes it might just be by email, but you need to get your database set up. I mean, that is the number one thing. And we all work how many minimum hours a day? We all work 8. Don't make this your 1 hour a day or 3 hours a week business. This is a full-time career. If you have, the beauty of it is if you have kids, you can do whatever you do with your kids. And then I used to go after they went to bed and I go in there and start doing a lot of my marketing at that point. And that way you have that flexibility. And then if they have a school event or, I mean, things just happen, but just don't forget it is a full-time job and it's a serious business. So here's where, again, we have manage your database. This is, Shalaya will teach you how to do this. And we can have a class too. I know she does the one-on-ones, which I feel like you feel work better, Shalaya.
They do.
When you're new to command, just remember everything you have to get used to. Like if you learn how to play a piano, you didn't learn how to play a piano the first time you sat down for your lessons. If you were like me, I always wanted to play a song. I really didn't want to do that one note over and over, but it is very similar to that. You have to practice at it. And then she's going to show you how to add contacts into command. But your phone's easy because we have Scott Leroy and he's going to do it for you, but you got to get with Shalaya to get it done. So these are not leads that you're adding into command. They're contacts. They're not somebody trying to buy a house from you right now. Nobody is a bad person to put into your database. No one. They're all good people to put in there. So don't feel like you shouldn't do it. And here's what you're going to realize too. I don't know why, but everybody's interested in the house. They like it. Who in here told me that they were doing something buying houses? Did you say it? Did you were helping somebody? You were. So think about it. You had interest in it. Would it offend you if somebody was sending you houses that came on the market before you were a real estate agent? Most people love this kind of thing. They just love it. So they would like for you to send it to them. Let's go right here to, once you have them in command, you can start personalizing your database to fit their individual business needs. That is another thing. You can do it, the smart plans in command, or you can do it through the MLS. You can do both. But then you kind of narrow it down to what they're looking for, because you don't want, if somebody's looking for a house on Smith Mountain Lake, you don't want to send them a house in Rustburg, so you can actually get these smart plans together so it goes the way they want it. So category examples are, buyer, seller, renter, investor, first-time buyer, luxury, open house contact. That's where you're going to kind of categorize them so that you have them. If somebody is a renter and you meet them and they call about renting a home, don't be rude to them. I can't tell you how many people have called me about renting a home, which I don't do. And they're like, God, thank you so much. Everyone we've called has been so rude. I've rented a home before. Everybody's probably rented a home before. It doesn't mean they're never going to buy a home. And if they never buy a home, you're being kind to somebody, and just remember you have a servant's heart. And, sometimes we get busy and we barely have enough time to return our calls, and you get that call and you're like, I've got this person that wants to rent a home. But those are people and they have families and they're trying to find someplace for them. So at least if you do nothing else, send them all the property management companies in our area, because they might be coming from out of the area. And then if they decide to buy, you just stay in contact with them and then they'll use you to buy. So we're not going to do that, Shalaya, because you're going to do that with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just really confusing. We try to do it in class. Who doesn't have their website set up with Shalaya yet? You don't, because you haven't gone through it yet. Okay.
I think I meet with her today.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyler and Riley are both onboarding tomorrow.
Okay.
Annie's onboarding today.
Everybody just getting onboarded. And remember, after you do it, don't feel like you're the only person that's like, I have no idea what she just said. So those categories, because we all do it. There's no one in the building that everybody goes back to like they do Shalaya. So I'm going to keep going through this because we're not going to do it. So once you have your contacts in your database and they're having like conversations, then you start qualifying the lead or contact to assess how ready they are. At first, this is my thing. I think it's like a garden, it takes 90, you plant your seeds and it takes 90 days for your garden to grow. I want you to think of it that way. It takes that nurturing that you have to do. Now, some people get their license and like 3 days later, they're like, boom, I just sold a house. You did it. Very first person you had, it was from her sphere. She worked with them at Michael's Carpet World, where she worked for 24 years. And it was a vendor in there that she worked with. But because everyone knew that do not be a secret agent. If you're getting your real estate agent license and you're going to be a real estate agent, you have to tell people. We call it the secret agent, where nobody knows what you do for a living. Do not be that person. Make sure, that everyone knows. And I feel like when you're young and starting out, it's a perfect sphere for first-time home buyers, because you have those young families that that are, if you're a teacher or, even like police officer or nurse, that you just meet different people. So sometimes it depends that. If you're not from here, it does not matter. I moved here from Florida and started in real estate. I didn't know one human being in this entire town except for Carol Massey. Carol Massey is our principal broker, and she was my real estate agent. So love her to death. And she said I was a really bad client. She said I was like the worst client she ever had. I was loyal. Now, I was loyal. I did not cheat on Carol, but I was bad about calling her last minute and saying, can you show me this house? Because she's trying to scarf down something to eat. And then she didn't get there in time, so I crawled through the window. Okay, so that is my aggressive personality. I'm like, I want the house, and I want that house now. And by the time she got there, I'd already seen it, And she's like, that's breaking and entering. You can't do that. So it's like, but she must have still liked me though, because she's still here. But it's just one of those things, you don't have to know somebody. you know, eventually you meet everyone. So again, this is something that Shalai is going to teach us how to do. So let's see, the next topic will be covered in sales pipeline. The final segment of your database is the sales pipeline. This is where when you start getting sales and prospecting and marketing, you bring the leads and contact into the database because they're active. And that is your pipeline. And again, this is going to be when you get to that point, you need to make another appointment with Shalaya so she can show you how to do it. It's very important because I didn't used to think it was that important to track it, but I love it now because, you know, when I can go in and see what I did 3 years ago compared to what I'm doing now, and it's really nice to track your business to find out, are you growing or are you declining? And if you're trying to go toward working less because that's what your goal is, you know, later in life, that's fine. But it's nice to be able to look at it and see what you're doing and be like, I need to get off my butt. Like, it's time to get going. And it's great to track it. So put your stuff in there. You're going to wish you did, and you're going to regret it if you don't. And it helps when you're goal setting too, because you want to know what you did last year. So when you set your goals, you want them to be a little bit higher. But if you have no idea what you did last year, it's hard to do that. And I'm telling you, this system just tracks it all for you. But you got to put the information in. And so as the transaction progresses through the appointment to active and under contract, it will also mirror the same steps in command until you go to closing. So, and then when it closes, the contact moves back into the database and continues to be interactive. And here is something very important for you to understand. You could sell somebody a house today, and 3 months later, they might be selling it. You do not know. It might be 3 weeks later. You do not know what happens to people in their life. You know, they can get transferred with a job. I have one right now that I have listed because the people bought it, and like 30 days later, they got a job transfer to Las Vegas. If I had been that forgotten agent that I did not follow up, how you doing, you know, how are things going? And they were a little bit of a difficult one too. But I just kept touching them a little bit, not because I thought they were going to sell their house. I just wanted to see how they were. So I have another one that in probably, I don't know, maybe 7 years, I've sold them 6 houses. I don't know why. They just move all the time. You know, they just called me the other day. They're doing it again. I'm like, are you kidding me? But, you know, I mean, his wife got pregnant. He had to buy another house that was bigger. Well, then she lost the baby. He had to sell it and buy a smaller one. I'm like, why don't you just use that room over there? And he's like, nope, I need to have this right around our bedrooms. So don't forget your people. You know, they're still important to you, and don't let them feel like they're not. Let's see. Here we go. This one right here says you're contacting leads right away. Contact them, help them see who needs their immediate attention. This is a good way to find out who needs the immediate attention, because you might have 500 people in there and you have 5 that need something now. And those are going to be brought to the front, you know, but don't forget the other ones, because you don't know when they're going to need something too. And Shalai is going to do that too. Sorry, I'm kind of going through this because it's stuff that we're not going to, that she's got to do. So tell me, does anyone have any ahas or things that they've learned that they hadn't thought of, you know, through this process? Anything you have in mind that you didn't think of before? Is there anyone in here that feels like this is like daunting? Like, you know, it's okay if it is, because it is to everyone whenever you do it. That's why I like us to get together in these classes, because sometimes it makes it more fun when we do it together, because like we might break out in productivity and I'll send you out to make some calls and come back in and, you know, see how it went. But I just want you to know that you're not alone. Everybody feels that way.
Yeah, I feel like I've been kind of stuck since starting because I don't have business cards yet. And then not knowing how to use the tech. So like I have some strategies like door knocking and stuff that I want to implement, but then I'm like, well, I don't have business cards. Yeah. So
you can print
and also
flyers.
Just not being great knowledge, or like having a lot of knowledge. Like I've got one person who'll buy like up to 500 acres, doesn't care, but like I don't know what an investment really looks like because I've never invested myself. So
Yeah, you don't understand even where to find it, like,
Right.
you know, how to, yeah, and that's something too that, what was that?
That's why my man had 128 acre place that he could.
Exactly.
The thing is, ask is like,
too, I got somebody.
he's only interested in things that will make him money.
I'm meeting with them this week.
And in this market, it's hard to find. So
I-
but I don't even know where to look because I've never studied that. really.
That's the smart plans. And because that's what he specializes in, doesn't mean that we have to automatically know how to do it. So really, if he's looking for acreage, I would just put him on a smart plan and start sending like acreage that's larger. If that's what he's looking for, larger acreage, like you said, you might have something. Just, you'll be surprised because I have investors with land too. I don't have a clue. I mean, I'm not a land investor. You know, there's things where, you know, people do timber, you know, so timbering is a big business because you make a lot of money off of timber, but it destroys the land. Okay, so if you timber it, you might make money here. Well, then the people over here that are wanting for recreation don't want it. So you got to balance that out. You know, to me, if someone's going to buy land to timber, they just need to keep it and replant it. I can't stand timbering. It is like my biggest pet peeve in the world. I'm not a weirdo tree hugger. I just think it's ridiculous. But we have to have wood, and you know somebody's got to. But have you ever
They're
seen?
doing it so small right now, it's just ridiculous.
Oh,
They're getting trees this big around.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
Come on.
Leave the little trees and select cut if you're doing. Have y'all ever seen it? It looks like the nuclear holocaust. Like it literally looks like. Yeah, it's awful.
My
So-
dad used to timber, but they timbered big trees that before they could go bad, they timbered them. But now it's like
A lot of
these
big timber
little,
left though.
these little small trees I see going out. I'm like, oh
But the
my
reason
gosh,
they don't
that's
have
killing us.
the big timber is because they've been taking the little timber, you
Well,
know?
it's a supply and demand thing. It's-
Yeah.
Even that small timber, people are so, I mean, the demand, everything is so high, so it's like they gotta get small timber.
I know, it's such a shame, and I know we need it, but it's like, ugh. But if they do want it, the best thing to do is you're gonna learn how to do the smart plan. Is to set that up to where these things go to them immediately. They're going to know the value of the land that you send them. And you need to explain to them, say, when I do these campaigns, I don't want you to miss anything by me trying to select what I send you. So I'm gonna send you a little more than what you're gonna want. Let me know what you don't like so I can tweak it. And that's what I tell people when I first start sending them houses. I'm gonna send you a lot the first time. Go through it, tell me what you like and don't like about things, because if you don't like it, I can take that criteria out. And, you know, but we don't know, we can't read their minds. So there is like a funny thing where we say buyers are liars. They're not liars because they're liars. They're liars because they don't know what they want. They'll tell you they have to have a main level master and they have to have a basement. There's no way I'm not buying that house. If you don't send them everything and tell them that story, say, look, I might send you a couple things that are not that, but they're so special, I want you to see them. If you don't, all of a sudden they'll disappear and you'll find them one day and they bought a 2-story house from somebody else. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. You've experienced it too, yeah. Where it's just, and it's not because they're bad, it's just because they don't know. How do we know? We don't know what we don't know. Like if we haven't seen it, we don't know it. And as they irritate you and you feel like they're just driving you crazy, think about if you were buying a house. You know, put yourself in your shoes about how particular you would be if you were buying a home. But with your question, when Shalaya gets you set up with that, you'll be able to put them on the campaign. If you have trouble, let us know because we'll help you narrow that down.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier than what I did. I talked to Chip Duff and got like one property that didn't go, because he's interested in single family, multifamily, doesn't matter. So
Is he looking for homes too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that he can make money off of, which is hard to do right now in this market.
It is hard to do it. Yeah, investments are, you know, the rental properties are probably the best investment right now because everybody's doing flips.
That's what I sent him. I sent him a townhome for 124.9 that hasn't hit market yet. And
Yes.
then I did cap rate, like all that stuff on it. He hit me back with, I'm not interested in that. Your cap rate's wrong. You didn't include vacancy.
Find out what his cap rate is that he wants, and he may be being a little bit, you know, where it's not gonna happen. We
I
all
know he
get
is,
that.
because he has a bunch of duplexes. I live in one, and he built them for 85,000. and they're 250 a building right now. And
Yeah.
they only bring 1,600 total.
Yeah, and so, he might be somebody who needs to go into the weekly, Airbnb business, I mean, he might need to venture out a little bit, venture out to Smith Mountain Lake. I mean, but you can be that knowledge. I'm gonna give you, Greg Vence's information too. My son, he does a lot of investment properties downtown. He's really good about people want to go and work, with him and look at something and learn, he doesn't mind helping.
Okay.
Because I think you're gonna have to get that hands-on, and your guy may be being ridiculous, like some investors just, but what I've learned with my investors, when I'm like, I have one, I mean, I don't know, I've probably done, 25 houses with this guy. I'm like, Joe, there's no way, you're never gonna sell that house without you. I've learned not to say that to him because he'll put the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen and then he'll get it. I mean, I think he's the one that created Cornerstone into a valuable property because his prices were so high that everybody else started jumping on. And, so they're investors for a reason. Sometimes they really know, but I'd rather you give him more things than less things so that he has something to go through, and then, but some of these investors, they have other agents that they have everybody out there looking for them, and I don't know if he is one of those that
He
has.
doesn't like real estate agents?
Yeah.
Yeah, use them.
Yeah, they usually don't because they think they're gonna find stuff on their own, and going through it. And he might be someone that you send him some stuff, but don't focus a lot on him and move on and go, because he'll drag you down a rabbit hole. But you will learn from him.
He's really direct, which I like.
Mhm.
When he was telling me like this was wrong, I was like, thank you, because like I want to learn, so.
And one thing that you could do too, and he might appreciate is say, look, I'm gonna work for you for free on the first one. Because I wanna learn, will you teach me? And, and I mean, I did that with mine. I was like, I learned more from that guy. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And, he's not even from here. He lives in Williamsburg. I met him one time. He's done all these transactions. He's never seen the houses and he's never seen me again. I mean, I do it for him. Like I'm his eyes and his ears and I've done it for him and I've only met him the one time. So it's, but once they trust you, and so maybe going toward him that way, and guess what? What if he never used you again and you did your services and you didn't charge him anything, or you charged him just your expenses at 1% or something? What if you did? Yeah, you learned. It's like school, it's knowledge. Knowledge is everything. So there might be a way to get in with him to where, he'll respect you for just wanting to learn. Don't give away your commission on everything, but this is a special case that you may get nothing unless you just say, just teach me, So goals to set your career on fire. This is another homework, very important. You need, and I'm telling you, if you do it, you're going to be successful. If you do not do it, you are not going to make it in real estate. Okay, I have seen people come and I've seen them go. Our training is phenomenal. We have, I don't know, somewhere around 110 agents. 59 of our agents have already capped this year. If you look at another standard company, I'm not knocking them. I mean, they have great attributes in their own way. Their percentage of agents who actually sell things is small. They'll have some superstars and everybody else is left by the wayside. We want everyone to be successful. You being successful does not do anything for Keller Williams more than someone who sells $30 million a year. You start, because everyone pays the same amount. So you don't, it kind of creates monsters in some businesses. I worked at one, I know, where you kind of get these obnoxious people that, they treat you ugly. Everyone is equal. Everyone has the same equal playing ground, but 59% of our agents have capped for the year. And for those of you that don't understand the capping, it means basically they don't pay any company dollar until their anniversary, which is why we have to have more agents, because we wouldn't be able to support the, we wouldn't be able to pay our bills. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to pay our bills if everybody, capped, we'd have more coming in. So this is important. 10 contacts added. It is not what Shalaya tells you how to do it. If you right now, write them down, put them in your computer, like start a spreadsheet. If you don't add 10 contacts a day, it is so easy. I don't care who they are. They can be anyone. Just put the contacts in there. Have 10 conversations a day. What did we say? Standing in the grocery line. You know, you're just chit chatting and, you know, tell them what you do. Of course you ask them what they do, you know, and that's how it starts. Handwritten notes, 10 handwritten notes a day, because that is my weakness. Okay, here's weakness number 2. I can't stand to write. I have bad handwriting. I don't like doing it. Trade us Christmas cards. I have bad handwriting. But people love handwritten notes. I don't care if you're writing it to your grandmother, your aunt in Texas. I don't care who you're writing these cards to, your favorite teacher. Think about it. Everybody had a teacher, you know. I don't know how mine are living, but
Kid and bark every day.
yes.
Good idea.
But you know what?
My teachers have passed, sorry, but if you're young enough and you have teachers still alive.
But think about, you know, whether it's your minister or your priest or send these notes out to people who have touched your life. And you're not asking for real estate. You do realize that. You're not asking for real estate. You can say, you know, I just got my real estate license and I was thinking back to the people who touched my life and changed my life in some way. And you were one of those people. I mean, I remember Mr. John, my 5th grade teacher, was one of the most, you know, influential people of my life. My shop teacher, he taught me how to interview for a job, Mr. Walters. How do I remember that? I'm like old, but I remember him, you know. But the point is people will appreciate that when you send it out and you tell them. So you can tell them you're in real estate, but you don't have to ask them if they want to buy or sell a house. Just have the conversation. And then home previews per week, do 10. Y'all can do them together too. I mean, sometimes it's more fun if you go together. You just ask the agent, can I preview your home? And you will start learning more about homes that way and what's in the market. Because especially if you're going to take a neighborhood, or I was talking about taking a neighborhood, preview the ones in a radius around that. And when you get in the MLS and you're doing searches, which you don't know how to do, but you're going to learn how, there's a radius search, and you can do a 1 mile radius around your particular area and go look at those homes. Because if you're going to be a specialty in that neighborhood, you have to know what's around you. And then scripts, we get to do scripts one day. Scripts, I think there's a scripts class. Does anyone have scripts from any of the ones before? We do have scripts that if y'all want Shalai to send you some, we have some from some other stuff.
There's a bunch in the back of that.
Okay, good. You will feel so stupid. I'm just gonna say it. You're gonna feel like an idiot reading those scripts. I mean, we all sound ridiculous reading those scripts. The reason you need to sit in front of a mirror and read those scripts and pretend like the person in front of you is a client. Eventually, you are going to learn the technology. Remember how you were saying, Riley, that I remember your name forever because it's my son's name. So remember how you said you didn't know what to do? Those scripts are invaluable. I never got a script when I started, and I had to just mumble my way through it. These scripts are so good. Eventually, it's like reading the Bible. You leave out the thee, thou, and all of that, and you just read it your own way. But that's what the scripts are. They need to be something in your brain that you train to come out when somebody says something to you. Those are the best. Stephen Acree team is one of the biggest teams we have. I'm telling you, he went through this stuff like the Bible. I mean, he learned it and he memorized it and he trained and within 5 years he has a very large real estate team. He was the same as you. He got out of Liberty University and didn't want to do what he specialized in and went into real estate. But I need you to take these scripts seriously. You need to keep the whole concept behind them, but you can put your words into it that sound like you. Everybody has their own personality, and you don't want to sound like a robot, but you will learn from those scripts is what I'm saying. And the scripts will lead generate, uncover motivations. People don't even know they have a motivation. If they're looking at houses, there's something inside of them that wants to buy a house, even when they tell you they're just looking. Identify objections, close deals, speaks in terms the customer understands. Again, that was that thing where you're not sure what to say or how to say it, and build confidence. But you almost need to read a script, and I don't mean running through it like, crazy. I mean, read it seriously in front of that mirror and look at yourself when you do it, and that person that you're looking at is going to be the other person. You need to do each one 100 times until basically, when you were in little and you were in when I used to go to like my Sunday school, I had to memorize prayers. God, I hated it when they made me recite those prayers. I was like so embarrassed and scared up in front of the room. But the point is, we said the prayer so many times as children that even today, if you haven't heard that prayer and somebody says it, you're like, you just kind of know it. That's kind of what the scripts are. You need to remember them. Role play, we're not going to do this either because we have to get to the next one. Pick a buddy to role play with, do it with your spouse, do it with your kids, do it with your mom. Do the role play, and it's actually kind of funny when you do it. I mean, it's just, it can be, something fun that you can do. You can do it with your kids. Like you have kids that are like, 8 and older that can read. They'll appreciate you doing it with them. So compliance, do not call. This is very important. Is that registry on here? Is it in your book?
The registry's in the book. A question for it, do we need to create an account for that, or does Clark wait?
I don't know. Shall do you know that answer? I think you have to
What
create
was
an
it? I'm
account,
sorry.
the do not call registry. I think everyone needs to do their own.
Okay.
I think so, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But I
Yeah,
think
I'm
so.
not either. I can't find.
Crystal would know for sure.
So, I've got Alice's thing. So make sure that you do that. The do not calls for people that don't know. As you know, those irritating people that call you all the time and try to sell you something. If someone gets on the do not call registry, you are not legally allowed to call them if they're on it. If they call you, you can call them back. If they've inquired about something, you can still talk to them. But if they're on there, you can't just pick up the phone and call them. You can, leave something at their door. You can talk to them. You just can't pick up the phone and call them. Another thing too, when you're calling people, like I said, when you're sitting someplace, where you're waiting for someone. Clients are notoriously late, so you're always going to be sitting there waiting for them. It's easier just to text people where you don't get on that. And texting is okay too, but don't make that your only communication. Because I've noticed that when I text people, 50% of the time they may text me back, but if I call them and I get them, they're more likely to talk. But honor their request not to be bothered. And lead generating, calling scripts. This is something that would take an hour to do, but I'm going to trust that you're going to go home and do it. Just put it on your calendar. So speaking of calendars, I'm going to tell you my calendar philosophy. Your calendar, like today for this week, my calendar is full. Now, some of my appointments are going to stop by to see my new grandson. One of them might be going to dinner, with my family. It does not mean that that's not an appointment. That is my appointment. My calendar is full. You have to make appointments for your personal life. It has been very hard for me to do that, and I am getting much better, but I kind of forgot about my personal life. And it really, Keller Williams is what has taught me a little bit of balance, which is just, that's my hardship. Some people have a hard time getting going. Some people have a hard time stopping. Make sure you take time for you because you will burn out. Right when I launched, my backstory is that I moved here from Florida, worked at a small boutique company. I left them and started my own real estate company, and it was another small boutique. We went through the recession. I realized that I was not prepared in any way because, I was just going through the motions because I didn't have a plan or a goal or a big why. After the recession kicked my tail, and it really did, and trust me, it was like really not great to go through a recession when you're in real estate and you're not prepared. That's when I found Keller Williams and I started the franchise. I did not want to have agents who were not prepared, and I wanted to teach my agents how to get prepared so that when the recession happens, that's life. That's a cyclical thing that goes through life. Have everybody heard of the Great Depression? Probably your great grandparents and great grandparents. But these people, we hear and be like, God, what is their problem? Why are they so frugal? Because they went through the Great Depression and people were starving to death. Literally starving. the recession feels a little bit like that at times, so I want you to learn how to be successful. Gary Keller, I have great admiration for him because he did not start this company. He is already a very wealthy man. He could not get any more wealthy that he needs the money. I mean, I'm on calls, with him talking about this. His goal is for every one of his agents to live the life that they desire. And he wants everyone to be successful and have wealth. So we will have wealth building classes too on how to invest in real estate, which will help you for him. But more than anything, I want to help you for you guys. I want y'all to be the investor. I didn't think about investing in real estate. I mean, I had a rental once, but I never understood the importance of this until I got into with Keller Williams. Now, and it took me a couple of years. Trust me, I'm a very stubborn person. I do things my way, and I don't get out of my way very often. If you start getting in your own head, I need you to stop and come and see me, because we all get in our own head and we think we can do it better. Since I started following his direction, my life by design did happen. And, and I do have a future where I can retire. I may never retire. I like doing this, but at least I know maybe one day I can. I want all of you to have that security for your families and for yourself. So just remember that, we have the MREA class that some of you are in. If you're not in it, go ahead and get into it. It's easier to go to the MREA book club than it is to read the book by yourself. I just know, I mean, it is for me, because I get sidetracked into some other place and I don't get into it like I should. So it's very, very important, that everyone owns their own home and they invest in real estate. And I'm going to give you a really quick synopsis of that. I know several people that have come to Keller Williams, and I don't like to tell people's names because it's private, who in just under 5 years have purchased 20, 30 houses. They are not wealthy people, okay? These are not wealthy people. These are people that came from other jobs and other careers that came into this business and decided to do that life by design, and they were able to do it. So there are ways that you can. So as you get into the real estate business, start saving, start putting away a certain amount so that you can buy your first investment property and get the rental. And I'm happy to help I'm not an expert, but I'm happy to help if you want to know. We have a little bitty condo that you can get for under $100,000 at Smith Mountain Lake. That thing rents through Airbnb like you couldn't imagine. I mean, it has expenses, but that thing brings in thousands of dollars a month.
Anything in Smith Mountain Lake anymore was under 100,000.
But they do. If you keep your eye open though, and you put yourself in there, because we bought it last year. But if you really, it's an efficiency. It's 300 square feet. It's like a hotel room. But it is. So just know that these things are out there for y'all, and I'd like for all of us to kind of get together and learn how to do it. So, you gotta go your class. I'm gonna be in trouble. It means I didn't get my other class in. Are you guys okay to stay a little bit longer? If I,
You guys, nice to meet you.
So, get help, Shlaya. Make your success list, to do, should do, priority and task. These are just things that you need to keep track of. Every day when you get up, I want you to do them. When they come back, I want to go over something else.
Can we take 5 for a second?
Yes, we can. Let's take 5. Oh, you gotta complete your Ignite survey. When people survey me. We all loved our class. So what is the other one, Shalaya? Y'all don't let me forget what I want to talk about is the referral network. Can everybody remind me that I'll forget? What's my next one? I'll go through it fast.
I didn't know you were doing 2.
She said I was doing fundamental. It's the next one. How do I get back into my thing?
I say I thought maybe, but maybe not.
Let me look, because I just have
We
the
might have to go
one.
back in and do it.
I just have the one because I
Oh,
thought
here it
you were
is.
just doing one.
How do you get back into it where they're all there, and I'll tell you what it is. I don't know how to do it.
I don't know what she had you doing on her computer.
I'll know what it is. Like, get me into all of them. This is why she has to sit in here with us through everything. I know, that's what I'm having trouble with, was her mouse. It just, well, good, it wasn't me. There it is, down there. All right, y'all might have to come hang out with me another time on the second one. It was like it had that one, and then you go down, and then it said same day as this one, but they weren't together for whatever reason. They like to make life difficult. Has everybody figured out what my talent is not? You do not have to be an IT person to be successful in real estate. As soon as everybody gets back, though, I really want to talk about this referral network.
That's the problem I've had, was I'm not tech savvy, so I'm like.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel better watching me? Do you feel better?
Yeah, I feel like, okay, that's the age we grew up in, though, they didn't have this stuff.
I did, and I still don't.
I was 36 years old before my fingers ever touched a computer.
Right.
I mean, they brought one
We
in.
had old typewriters that we had to learn how to do in school, but.
Yeah, but not this, I'm telling you. However, hang
I
on.
know how the keys
Regeneration.
work because it's the same as a typewriter. Other than that,
No, you go
Let's
down,
get it
and
again.
there's one that says number 2 again.
I'm not 27, but I grew
Oh,
up
here
in
it
a
is.
farm, so I'm kind of like.
Right, you're like,
They didn't
yeah.
have it either.
Yeah.
Elements, that's the one.
like
That's my
I-
second one to be on.
We grew up very poor, so it's like, you know.
I can relate with the older
My age
generation
that still
usually.
remembers the dial-up tone.
Right?
Country.
Yeah.
I grew up in Hudson, so like, you know, you don't get service out there for Wi-Fi or anything, so there's like no internet.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I'm gonna zip through this really fast, but I wanna wait till everybody's in here, because I
I'm gonna
wanna,
have to download this for Zoom then. Okay, so give me a minute.
I have something that is really, 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 in my opinion, the most important thing that you guys are gonna do with Keller Williams, and only Keller Williams has it. And 70% of the agents don't do it. I don't know why. I'm like, it's the easiest thing in the entire world to get referrals. So there's, I don't know, between 180 and 190 realtors with Keller Williams. We have something called the referral network. Some of you have seen it, some of you haven't. Everyone seems to forget to do it. You just forget. The people who are working it probably get 3 to 5 referrals a year, just like that. The difference is these referrals will cover your cap. So you will get enough money to cover your cap just from these referrals if you work the database.
Was there a list of those in command somewhere where, because I have people now that
Yeah, when you
are
go to
looking in
that,
South
when
Carolina.
you go to that referrals network,
Yes.
it's listed out.
You know what? Let's forget about this, Shalaya. I just want to go to the referral network on my computer. Can you hook my computer up? Let's just forget about this. I'm gonna tell us how to make money right now. Don't tell on me. Don't tell on me on my referral. We're gonna come back in for that.
My sister just bought a house, she's closing today in South Carolina, and I missed that referral because I
Yes.
wasn't licensed yet.
Yes.
And that was.
So we're gonna show you how,
That would have been a nice commission.
I think this is so important. Probably not.
They
All right, so we're
they
not-
do the investment stuff, so they
Yeah.
They got like 5 rentals.
I was like, hey, somehow late right here.
We can go
I know, that's right.
Now I told her she owes me,
Yeah, she's gonna be the
so I get free.
That's it. Good.
Stays
Good.
there.
Right.
Yeah,
I
mine
need a
is-
week-long stay.
My
No,
nurses-
we had to get something for mine. I don't think
They
that
owe me
has it.
now.
Actually, I think.
Are you a tech guy?
Oh, yeah.
Look, tech person, next person that we have to talk to.
Right, I'm not.
So do y'all feel better that I have been doing this and I have had success in real estate and I don't know how to hook up my computer? Does it make you feel better?
I have to call my son in all the time. He's 15 and knows everything about it.
I know, it's awful.
Come show me, this is an Apple and I've never used it. And
Yeah.
Because he taught me to buy a darn Apple computer and now I'm like.
Do you want to use
I
Alex?
have no idea.
Mine is a Mac and I love it, but you know, so
I have found, once I started using it, I like it, but I can't get nothing to do what I want to do.
yeah, I'll just use hers.
Carry your own
Do you know,
parts with you because
do you know that I didn't watch TV for 1 week because I couldn't figure out how to make my remote hook back to the TV? I'm not kidding.
I
It's
still don't know how to
embarrassing.
do that.
It's awful.
No, I just yell at my husband, I'm like, hey,
I
it's.
just
I
snack it a couple
can do it
times.
for like a year.
Oh my gosh.
It's broke, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad thing, but I
It's not a
really couldn't,
bad thing.
I really couldn't do it. I'm like, I don't have the knowledge. I don't know why. I don't have the skill set.
No, that's like my 6-year-old, she can cast things from my phone to the TV. I still.
Do the mirror thing?
Yeah.
My dog can do that too. She.
I don't know.
Wow.
You need to hook yours up.
It might be, oh, wait, she found
It's like
it.
you-
And my
YouTube and
little
everything.
5-year-old, I'll be like,
She
how'd you
did
do that?
find
She'll
it.
go,
Oh,
"Daddy,
we're
it's
good,
easy.
yeah.
Check
She
it
got it
out."
on.
For some
Are you
reason,
ready
her
to go?
browser.
Yeah.
And she's got like an attitude about it too. I'm like, wait a
Well,
minute.
hang on.
you look
Let me
like
see
her.
if mine will. Let
I
me see
can't
if
figure
we
it out,
might,
like,
you need
why?
that,
That's what I
Shariah,
have.
what she has?
You got an apple.
Cause we have a smart TV
Is
and
that
it
what
like
you need?
picks up our phones, I
You
guess,
should
and
just
she just
plug
knows
this
how to
inside
stick it up there.
on
Look,
this
they
other
just-
side, either one.
I mean, it could be
It'll do either
anything.
one.
I'm gonna do this and let you guys go, but I
You
really wanna,
know,
we're not gonna
it's
do the other
like
class
you
yet.
get it,
Does that have HDMI?
I can do this with mine.
Anybody's business.
That's a
That's
USB.
I've been trying to learn.
Yeah.
Oh,
It does.
Well, that was,
That was
Look, I
weird.
took 3 years.
All right,
and
so
I'm-
how about, how
We
about?
tried.
Talk to my
That's
cash
USB,
buyer.
the other one I have at home, the
Okay,
one
so
that's
I
the
don't
bigger
need
one that
to-
has all the connections.
Do y'all want me to just, everybody will just circle around, I'm gonna go over there, we'll just circle around and look at this. Sorry, you guys on Zoom, I'm gonna do it.
All right, I'm just gonna end Zoom then.
Yeah.
No, because mine, this one doesn't have the HDMI, the one at home does. I don't know, my son's got so much stuff that I don't know nothing about.
I'm gonna go to. the
She's like,
referral
I'll buy this for
network.
that, but you don't wanna carry that with you, so just take this small one, 'cause this is pretty much what you're gonna use.
My wife uses the Apple and I'm a.
See, that's my debate, I don't know if I'll use the Apple or not.
Well, my wife, she likes reading something and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't like this. And she's like, but it's like, everything is, it's like left hand, right hand. It's like use an Apple, it's basically it's flipped over. You just gotta have everything, but you can do.
My spouse uses
scripts for it,
the
though.
Dale, so it's like,
You know,
why do you have this? And I'm
But
like,
you can do so much more with an Apple. You can do so much.
well, and Apple, but,
But you